Good evening, folks. Welcome to the show. Let's cook.
It's from a third party. Rachel was told that my current boyfriend.
That's your boyfriend?
Yes.
Stand up, please. Come on, close to the microphone. How old is he? How old are you?
He's 19.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
34. Okay,
Yes.
go on. I never know whether to say you go girl or what. Okay. Go ahead.
But she was told that I was pregnant by him, which I am, 4.5 months pregnant. And when she found that out, she called his cell phone like in a total rage, saying, how dare you get this pregnant?
Were they dating still?
No.
Okay. And
Not-
they had broken
not
up
that
how
I-
long earlier? Not
2
that
years.
you knew?
Not that I know of.
Well, were you dating still?
No.
How long had you broken up earlier? My God, you look like you're 12.
August.
Go ahead.
It's August 2011. We broke up then.
Because you have a child with her.
Yes.
How old is that child with her?
2.
So she yells at him and then what?
So he puts her on speakerphone. And I was like, what's the
Okay. So you heard that. The young man is 19. He has a 2-year-old with a woman that's not in this particular screenshot. He has a baby on the way with this woman right here. Okay. Now, I talk a lot about rule number 5. Men must exercise sexual discipline to be seen as credible leaders and maximize their opportunities. So I talk about this all the time. And I'm starting to hammer it down a lot more because the self-inflicted injury, I believe, is the primary injury that gets everybody out the game right away. You make a bad decision with your dick, and your life takes a completely different turn. For women, they make a bad decision with their vagina, same situation, same outcome. They have an alternative ending. So, but for us to control this thing and end this gender war conversation, get relationships back on track and all of that stuff, dudes got to ask better questions. Like, and I'm gonna start by asking this one right here. How come y'all dudes don't ask to see a picture of the baby daddy before you become baby daddy number 2, if that's your journey? If you saw what she settled for, you would make a different decision. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So, like, even in this video, this lady is 34 years old, pregnant by a 19-year-old man. Now, we know if we flop that gender situation, and if it was a 34-year-old man with a 19-year-old woman, we would definitely say that there'd be a predatory situation. But this is definitely predatory behavior. We've seen this trend of older women starting to snatch up the young dudes, even though this is an old video, which captures my thought even more. Because like these are the same women that'll say their baby daddy's a loser, but you made a baby with a loser. What does that make you? See, the way that it comes off, it makes it sound like women can't be losers and only men can be the loser. But sometimes the women are the loser, And it's you gotta think about this, man. If you don't have a picture into her past, what are you really vetting? I know some people think that you can't just tell by a picture, but a picture also says it's worth 1,000 words. So you can't have it both ways. Indicators are not absolute, but they're absolutely indicators, And so many men may feel attacked by this, but that's how you end up. Like, you never looked at a black woman, and specifically black people right now. You never looked at a black woman wondering where that she got that mixed baby from, and no contact with the baby daddy. You ain't never thought that was strange. Like, I get it. But the truth is, man, her baby daddy and her children are her resume. You don't have anything else to grade about. I understand that there's circumstances where man might get incarcerated, or he might even get deleted. But we talking about that man that made that child is out of the picture completely. No contact, no conversation. Why is that situation working that way? What's the details on the co-parenting side of it? You know what I'm saying? Why doesn't a co-parenting situation exist? Is it because she's making it difficult, or she's not being honest and forthcoming about everything that she did to the relationship as well? These things you got to take into consideration, because I say this all the time. I say men will make a baby I would say, excuse me, women will make a baby with the wrong man before they make a sandwich for the right one. You need to take into consideration before you become a casualty in this situation. This is an epidemic, you know. Things are getting corrected now. We just got to talk about it more. You know, this is why people also try to paint a red flag into a green flag. Believe what the fuck you see with your own eyes. Leave all that fantasy thinking, the Tyler Perry in the 90s. You need to get some pictures, man. You got to look at all angles of this stuff, man, because these are things that we didn't take as serious as we should have when we was younger, or I mean, the technology has changed too. You know what I'm saying? I think a woman is ashamed of her baby daddy for a reason. That's why he's out the picture, you know. That's why he don't like talking about the past. But the minute something happens, they'll say, if I had known. You can't have it both ways. You can't say the past doesn't matter and then talk about if I had known. You don't get to do it that way, you know. And the women in these situations, for the most part, and the women and the men in these situations, just like in that video, usually come from a long line of delusional single mothers. They're raised in homes filled with neglect and competition and full of women. The women that are raised by this type of culture run the men out of their lives. And of course, you can't pick a man. So if she cannot pick a man, what type of man got her pregnant? Think about that. This is why I say low-level learners reproduce with low-level learners and make more low-level learners. She picked a bum because of a low self-esteem, and low self-esteem dick is attracted to low self-esteem coochie. Low self-esteem is the source of poor breeding choices. If her baby daddy had herpes or HIV, I bet you think about being baby daddy number 2. So is a picture that hard to ask for? Or is a prescription easier to ask for? Think about that. You're not asking for something hard. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about something tangible just so you see. Because if you could look at somebody and be like, oh, I see how that went, you know? And these are other things you got to evaluate too. Because if you don't have a picture of the man that she's had experience with, okay, and the reason I'm saying that, if she doesn't have a father, you better grade her by the men she's been with. If she doesn't have a father, you have to grade her by the men that she's been with. If you looked at this woman in this video and you seen Buddy, y'all seen Buddy on there. If you had to grade her by the dude that she made the baby with, look at that. If you had to grade her by that man, your perception of her would change. Now, that's just the picture. Now, wait till the information starts coming out. You find out that this man is 19 with a 2-year-old with another woman. There's a lot of things that you can make an assessment off of, okay? It don't take much. We're trying to make this thing way more complicated than what it actually is, you know? And then when you bring it down to like, okay, let's make it more tangible. Let's take us out of it. What will you tell your son if he was interested in a relationship with a woman that already had a baby daddy like this man? Huh? Come on now. What would you tell your son about a woman that chose a man like that? Be nice. You know what I'm saying? And be considerate. You know, I got a story I'll tell you right now. You know, I remember I was dating, it was about 20 years ago. And this lady that I was seeing, she went on to tell me the story about her baby daddy not being worth a damn, saying he was a rapper. You know, we talking early 2000s, you know what I'm saying? Then she said the man that made her daughter was a bum, and she said he was a dog. And so I stopped talking to her, and she hit me up one day and was like, you know, asking me why I disappeared, why I was kind of like ghosting her, you know what I'm saying, before ghosting was even a term, you know. And she tried to say that she felt like I got intimidated because she brought up her baby daddy. I was like, I'll never be intimidated by a bum or a loser, you know. Like I'm not competing with you, you know. And I never seen a picture of this dude, but to paint the picture of everything, it's like she already called him a bum and a loser. but she made a baby with it. So she already shot herself out the way. You know what I'm saying? As far as I'm concerned. I told her I stopped talking to her because I don't understand how a flea can also be the owner of a homeless shelter. Because if this man is a bum and he sought shelter with you enough to make a kid with you, and you call him a dog, you must be the flea on his balls. It just doesn't show a clear path of critical thinking. You know what I'm saying? So if you let a dog that was also a bum be the father of your child, there's no way I should be with you. Sucking on a dog's balls and being his landlord and a baby mother is nasty work. We gotta really be honest about this stuff. You're casting spells on yourself. You hear what I'm saying? If the dude looked like he came from a homeless shelter and she gave him a kid, it will say a lot more about her thinking, because men marry behavior and mindset. When it comes down to relationships, we partner that way. All right. So I want to close off and say, this is all about sexual discipline, man. Men must exercise sexual discipline to be seen as credible leaders and maximize their opportunities. If you can't control your dick, what can you control? Huh? Fellas, get a picture of that baby daddy before you decide you're going to be baby daddy number 2. You better get a picture of the men that she's been around in her life and who has the most influence, because she got a kid and no male influence. That's probably a big indicator that she don't respect men. A huge indicator. You can't respect something and not have it in your life. Now, when I talk about respect in this sense, what I mean is like, you can have general respect for all human beings, saying yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, excuse me, you know what I'm saying, and all of that stuff, just general courtesy. But there's a different degree of respect that goes into having a relationship with the opposite sex. If she didn't grow up seeing her mother being covered by a man and being respected by, and she didn't see her father be respected by a woman, then where she's getting her romantic or divine perception of what respect is between the masculine and the feminine. See, these are questions you need to ask. And that's why you got to get that picture of that baby daddy, bro. Look, man, it's been great. Love y'all. I'll drop something else soon, and follow the channel, subscribe, like, share, do all of that good stuff. Hey, this is the Godfather of Discipline, and I just had questions that need answers. Go get that picture.